Earthlings, how are you guys? I'm trying to get over into the side of the frame so that you guys can see this full thing. It's not quite full because the cobalt blue is up here, but close enough. We're just going to have to call it good. I want to get on with the show today. I have a very long email to read, you guys. This is from Amanda Knox to the University of Washington. Um, and it's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. Everything I say is simply my opinion for the sake of hoping to start a conversation, open up a discussion, learn something, be educational. All my videos to date have been made for YouTube. It's an entertainment platform. So I'm just going to start reading this after I ask you guys to please make sure you're still subscribed. Share the video if you think it's worthy, which I'm thinking just the information in the email is going to be worthy. Turn on your notification bell to ring. If that even works anymore, I do not know. And then I will just show the creepy thumb because I love it so much, even though it has a hole in the thumb. It's all right. Nothing's perfect, right? Nothing in this world. So, let's just get rolling with it. Hey, Bex, what's up, lady? Nice to see you. So I don't know if you saw the thumbnail. It's a screenshot that I took from one of Roberta Glass's videos. Roberta Glass True Crime Report, I think is the whole name of her channel. I was talking about her yesterday, and I put a couple of links to her videos in the description from yesterday's video. So this email, I'm just going to start reading it. So I'm not going to see a lot of the chat, but feel free to chat away amongst yourselves if anyone else comes in. And hopefully the sound is all right. It looks like everything's good to go. Lighting's all right. I'm just so excited about that chakra thing lining up. All right. So, this is an email for everyone because I'd like to get it all out and not have to repeat myself 100 times like I've been having to do at the police station. I will stop for a little bit of commentary, but I'm going to try to just power through it. And this was sent on Sunday, November 4th, 2007. Mind you that the terrible situation happened on Friday the 2nd, and then it wouldn't have been discovered until Saturday the 3rd, I believe. And so this is the very next day. And this is her email to the university, and then she CC'd it to a whole bunch of friends and family, I think. So I'm going to start over. This is an email for everyone because I'd like to get it all out and not have to repeat myself 100 times like I've been having to do at the police station. Some of you already know some things, some of you know nothing, but what I'm about to say, I can't say to journalists or newspapers, and I require that anyone receiving this information as well. This is my account of how I found my roommate red-rummed the morning of Friday, November 2nd. Oh, okay, good to know. So confusing. Anyway, I'm just going to continue. I mean, because Halloween is big in our country. November 1st is big in Italy. And so I think that November 1st was Thursday. So that was the night that they went to their parties. Oh, okay. So it would be Friday the 2nd. Okay, I got it. See, I had another day added in there. So that was the night that Meredith Kircher dressed up as a vampire. Okay, that's important to know right now. And then I believe that FoxyKnoxy dressed up as like a cute little St. Pauli's girl barmaid, but then couldn't connect up with Meredith to get to the party. So this was the night of the party. This is crazy. Anyway, it is super confusing because I think that there was a lot of rugs involved as well. Back to the account. My account of how I found my roommate red-rummed the morning of Friday, November 2nd. The last time I saw Meredith, 22, English, beautiful, funny, was when I came home from spending the night at a friend's house. It was the day after Halloween, Thursday. I got home and she was still asleep, but after I had taken a shower and was fumbling around in the kitchen. She emerged from her room with the red stuff of her costume, vampire, still dripping down her chin. We talked for a while in the kitchen, how the night went, what our plans were for the day, nothing out of the ordinary. Then she went to take a shower, and I began to start eating a little while I waited for my friend Rafaela, at whose house I stayed over, to arrive at my house. He came right after I started eating, and he made himself some pasta. As we were eating together, Meredith came out of the shower and grabbed some laundry, or put some laundry in, one or the other, and returned into her room after saying hi to Rafaela after lunch. I began to play guitar with Rafaela. I think that's how you say his name. And Meredith came out of her room and went to the door. She said bye and left for the day. It was the last time I saw her alive. After a little while of playing guitar, me and Rafaela went to his house to watch movies, and after to eat dinner, and generally spend the evening and night indoors. We didn't go out. That's important. The next morning, I woke up around 10:30, and after grabbing my few things, I left Rafaela's apartment and walked the 5-minute walk back to my house to once again take a shower, which she didn't seem to do very often, except in this situation. I'm sure she had to because, that red stuff. Anyway, so yeah, 2 showers in the same 24-hour period? That's crazy for her. Hey, CB, I'll be listening even though I know nothing about this case. You might get riveted, CB, because this case is back in the courts in Italy. And it's pretty freaking crazy. This woman is out of control. So she was 20 at the time. And where was I? Here we go. Walked the 5-minute walk back to my house to once again, and this was 17 years ago, once again take a shower and grab a change of clothes. I also needed to grab a mop because after dinner, Rafaela had spilled a lot of water on the floor of his kitchen. See, that changed to that the sink broke and the plumbing, the pipes broke, and that they had to fix it. But this is the first version of the ever-changing story that still changes to this day. And she's still telling it to this day, but different pretty much every time. Spilled a lot of water on the floor of his kitchen by accident and didn't have a mop to clean it up. So I arrived home, and the first abnormal thing I noticed was the door was wide open. Here's the thing about the door to our house. It's broken. This is just an email to her university. It's broken in such a way that you have to use the keys to keep it closed. If we don't have the door locked, it is really easy for the wind to blow the door open. And so my roommates and I always have the door locked unless we are running really quickly to bring garbage out or get something. Also, they live in a rough neighborhood, so of course they're going to have the door locked. It's for females that live there. The upstairs of the house, the downstairs of the house is for men, for college guys. I always have the door locked unless running really quickly to bring garbage out or get something from the neighbors who live below us. Another important piece of information. For those who don't know, I inhabit a house of 2 stories, of which my 3 roommates and I share a second-story apartment. There are 4 Italian guys our age, between 22 and 26, who live below us. Funny how all of a sudden that's her age, because she's 20. Meredith was 21. And then the other 2 female roommates were between the ages of 22 and 26. But so she's the youngest and extremely immature. And she had a crush on one of these guys. The first one she names Giacomo, something like that. Anyway, he was a great guy, he seems, and I'm sure he doesn't really want to be mentioned in any affiliation with this woman. That woman. Okay. I share second story apartment. There are 4 Italian guys of our age, between 22 and 26, who live below us. We are all quite good friends and we talk often. Giacomo is especially welcome because he plays guitar with me and Laura, one of my roommates, and is or was dating Meredith. The other 3 are Marco, Stefano, and Riccardo. Anyway, and remember, he was dating Meredith. They had, I think, just been dating for a couple of weeks and they were crazy about each other. So when she says is or was, it's not like they've broken up. It's that his girlfriend's no longer alive. And I believe that Amanda had slept with him, although that's speculation based on what I know. She seemed to be hot to trot, let's say. I don't like to be too vulgar, but in speaking of FoxyKnoxy, it's hard not to be because she was just kind of a vulgar individual. And Meredith was quite the opposite. She was just mild-mannered and quiet and exceptional, absolutely exceptional. And, for what it's worth, Amanda Knox seems like she was an exceptional woman, young woman, if she had taken the right path. But she was and is a narcissist. And currently, my concern for her primarily is that I think she's going to destroy the entire wrongfully convicted movement. That's my concern. Because she was not wrongfully convicted. But she'll tell you differently. She was rightfully convicted. She was her case was wrongfully overturned. She was rightfully convicted 2 times, and then it was overturned on technicalities 2 times. So she's not in the same boat as these other cases of the exonerees that are part of that whole system, like Dean Gillespie and who is that other one? Michael Polite. It looks like Polite, but it's Polite or something like that. Michael Polite, the guy who was 14 when he was incarcerated for unaliving his mother, when he didn't do that. And he's been exonerated. Anyway, the exonerations from our country, I believe, should stick within the bounds of our country because every country has different laws. I mean, every state has different laws, for crying out loud. But you can't throw Italian court in with American court because they're extremely different. Extremely different. So I don't think Ms. Knox has ever gone through any court proceedings in our country. I could be incorrect about that, but all of the court proceedings, to the best of my knowledge, involving the red rum of Meredith Kircher, that happened in Italy, and all the court proceedings have happened in Italy. And there are more underway as we speak. So, the other 3 are Marco, Stefano, and Riccardo. Anyway, so the door was wide open. Strange, yes, but not so strange that I really thought anything about it. Yeah, you live in the ghetto, your door is wide open. You have 3 female roommates and you're 20 years old from another country. Yeah, no big deal. I assumed someone in the house was doing exactly what I just said, taking out the trash or talking really quickly to the neighbors downstairs. So I closed the door behind me, but I didn't lock it, assuming that the person who left the door open would like to come back in. When I entered, I called out if anyone was there, but no one responded. And I assumed that if anyone was there, they were still asleep. Laura's door was open, which meant she wasn't home, and Philomena's, sorry, I can't say her name accurately. Let's just call her Philo or Philomena's. I'll try it. Philomena's. Sorry, I'm really bad with stuff like that. And I'll do my best. Philomena's door was also closed. My door was open like always, and Meredith's door was closed, which to me meant she was sleeping. I undressed in my room and took a quick shower in one of the two bathrooms in my house. So she's running around naked in her house in the ghetto with the door unlocked when it was wide open when she got there. Right. Makes perfect sense. The one that is right next to Meredith and my bedrooms, situated right next door to one another. It was after I stepped out of the shower and onto the mat that I noticed the red stuff in the bathroom. It was on the mat I was using to dry my feet, and there were drops of the red stuff in the sink. At first, I thought the red stuff might have come from my ears, which I had pierced extensively not too long ago. But then immediately I know it wasn't mine because the stains on the mat were too big for just droplets from my ear. And when I touched the red stuff in the sink, it was caked on already. There was also red stuff smeared on the faucet. Again, however, I thought it was strange because my roommates and I are very clean. That's a big fat lie. Her roommates are very clean. She is not, and they hated her. She was driving them nuts. And she stunk a lot of the time because she didn't bathe. And Europeans are like that too. So it's funny to be in Europe and be out stinking the Europeans, right? Funny, not funny. My roommates and I are very clean, and we wouldn't leave red stuff in the bathroom. But I assumed that perhaps Meredith was having menstrual issues and hadn't cleaned up yet. Ew, but nothing to worry about. I remember this is an email to her university professor. This is so freaking nuts. We're not even halfway through, so I'm going to keep powering through. I left the bathroom and got dressed in my room. After I got dressed, I went to the other bathroom in my house and Laura used their hairdryer to obviously dry my hair. And it was after I was putting back the dryer that I noticed the shit that was left in the toilet. Something that definitely no one in our house would do. Weird. And she used that word, the S word. I started feeling a little uncomfortable, so I grabbed the mop from our closet and left the house, closing and locking the door that no one had come back through while I was in the shower, and I returned to Rafaela's place. After we had used the mop to clean up the kitchen, I told Rafaela about what I had seen in the house over breakfast. The strange blood in the bathroom, the door wide open, the shite left in the toilet. He suggested I call one of my roommates, so I called Philomena. Philomena had been at a party the night before with her boyfriend Marco, not the same Marco who lives downstairs, but we'll call him Marco F, as in Philomena, and the other can be Marco N, as in neighbor. She also told me that Laura wasn't home and hadn't been because she was on business in Rome, which meant the only one who spent the night at our house last night was Meredith, and she was as of yet unaccounted for. Philomena seemed really worried, so I told her I'd call Meredith and then call her right back. I called both of Meredith's phones, the English one first and last, and the Italian one between. The first time I called the English phone, it rang and then sounded as if there was some disturbance, but no one answered. Then I called the Italian phone and it just kept ringing, no answer. I called her English phone again, and this time an English voice told me her phone was out of service. Rafaela and I gathered our things and went back to my house. I unlocked the door, and I'm going to tell this really slowly to get everything right, so just have patience with me. Thanks so much for being here, you guys. And let me highlight one of your comments so that I get into the habit of highlighting. And like I said, you're welcome to chat away. Anybody who's here, and I'll try to get to them, but I'm going to try to read this on a roll. Okay. The living room kitchen was fine, looked perfectly normal. I was checking for signs of our things missing. Should there have been a burglar in our house the night before? Philomena's room was closed, but when I opened the door, her room was and a mess, and her window was open and completely broken. But her computer was still sitting on her desk like it always was, and this confused me. Convinced that we had been robbed, I went to Laura's room and looked quickly in, but it was spotless, like it hadn't even been touched. This, too, I thought was odd. Then I went into the part of the house that Meredith and I share and checked my room for things missing, which there weren't. Then I knocked on Meredith's room. At first, I thought she was asleep, so I knocked gently. But when she didn't respond, I knocked louder and louder until I was really banging on her door and shouting her name. No response. Panicking, I ran out onto our terrace to see if anybody I could see over the ledge into her room from the window, but I couldn't see in. Bad angle. Then I went into the bathroom where I had dried my hair and looked really quickly into the toilet. In my panic, I thought I hadn't seen anything there, which to me meant whoever was in my house had been there when I had been there. As it turns out, the police told me later that the toilet was full and that the shite had just fallen to the bottom of the toilet, so I didn't see it. I ran out and down to our neighbor's door. The lights were out, but I banged on the door anyway. I wanted to ask them if they had heard anything the night before, but no one was home. I ran back into the house. In the living room, Raphael told me he wanted to see if he could break down Meredith's door. He tried and cracked the door, but we couldn't open it. It was then we decided to call the cops. Remember, I'm reminding you guys again, this is one email to her university. Hey, Fredfield, sorry about the no notification. Terrible, isn't it? But at least check to make sure you're still subscribed. Sometimes if you unsubscribe, but don't do it now because then you won't be able to comment for 20 minutes. Sometimes if you unsubscribe and resubscribe, I think that'll get the notifications going again. But unless you don't care if you don't comment for 20 minutes, I wouldn't recommend unsubscribing while we're live. Okay, let's see. Thanks again for being here, people. You guys are the best. And isn't this the coolest? Okay, I'm trying so hard to get through this and not lose my place. I ran outside and down to our neighbor's door. The lights were out, but I banged on the door anyway. I wanted to ask them if they had heard anything the night before, but no one was home. I ran back into the house in the living room. Raphael told me he wanted to see if he could break down Meredith's door. He tried and cracked the door, but we couldn't open it. It was then that we decided to call the cops. There are two types of cops in Italy: Carabinieri, local dealing with traffic and domestic calls, and the police investigators. He first called his sister for advice, then called the Carabinieri. I then called Filomena, who said she would be on her way home immediately. While we were waiting, two ununiformed police investigators came to our house. I showed them what I could and told them what I knew, gave them phone numbers and explained a bit in broken Italian. Then Filomena arrived with her boyfriend Marco F. and two other friends of hers. Altogether, we checked the house out, talked to the police, and in a big, they all opened Meredith's door. I don't know what that means. In a big, they all opened Meredith's door. I was in the kitchen standing aside, having really done my part for the situation. Okay. But when they opened Meredith's door, I heard Filomena scream, a foot, in Italian. I immediately tried to get to Meredith's room, but Raffaella grabbed me and took me out of the house. The police told everyone to get out, and not long afterward, the Carabinieri arrived, and then soon afterward, more police investigators. They took all of our information and asked us the same questions over and over. At the time, I had only what I was wearing in my bag, which thankfully had my passport in it and my wallet. No jacket though, and I was freezing. After sticking around at the house for a bit, the police told us to go to the station to give testimony, which I did. I was in a room for 6 hours straight after that without seeing anyone else, answering questions in Italian for the first hour. And then they brought in an interpreter and helped me out with the details that I didn't know the words for. They asked me, of course, about the morning, the last time I saw her, and because I was closest to her, questions about her habits and her relationships. Afterwards, when they were taking my fingerprints, I met two of Meredith's English friends, two girls she goes out with, including the last one who saw her alive that night she was red-romed. They also had their prints taken after that. This was around 9 at night by this time. I was taken into the waiting room where there was various other people who I all knew from various places, who all knew Meredith, her friends from England, and my roommates, even the owner of the pub she most frequented. So I want to add that one of the reasons I'm really interested in revisiting this whole case is because of the similarities to Kiely Rodni's case. So I'm going to put this email, probably like screenshots of the printed out email, but also a link to the entire file of this case. So for anybody who's interested, but unless you know Italian or have a way of interpreting Italian, it's almost all in Italian, but it's a huge file. And that's the kind of thing that should be online for Kiely's case, in my opinion. And instead we have nothing. Zilch. Okay, even the owner of the pub she most frequented. After a while, my neighbors were taken into having just arrived home from a week-long vacation in their hometown, which explained why they weren't home when I banged on their door. Later, then, that other guy showed up and was taken in for questioning. A guy I don't like, but who both Meredith and I knew from different occasions. A Moroccan guy that I only know by his nickname amongst the girls, Shaky. I don't know if that's the same as Rudy, because I didn't think Rudy was Moroccan, and I don't know if his nickname was Shaky. So that might be a different person. I'm not sure. Then I sat around in the waiting room without having the chance to leave or eat anything besides vending machine food, which was giving me a hell of a stomach ache. Again, this is an email to her university. It's still like it's too much information. It's too much detail, but nothing important. Or not nothing important, but we don't need to know about her stomach ache and her vending machine food. It's just poor me. Like, isn't this so sad that I had to go through this? Which gave me a hell of a stomach ache until 5:30 in the evening, during mostly, of course, and I also talked with the rest, especially to find out what exactly was in Meredith's room when they opened it. Apparently, her body was laying under a sheet and with her foot sticking out, and there was a lot of red stuff. Whoever had did this had slit her throat. They told me to be back in at 11 a.m. I went home to Raphael's place and ate something substantial and passed out. In the morning, Rafaela drove me back to the police station, but he had to leave me when they said they wanted to take me back to the house for questioning. Before I go on, I'd like to say that I was strictly told not to speak about this. So she's speaking about it in an email to everybody to make public, to lay the foundation for her narrative. She's trying to control the narrative. Oh no. Yeah, if it buffers more, let me know. Sorry about that. I should have rebooted my computer right before I started, but hopefully it won't be too bad. It's so annoying. I'll try not to use my hands when I speak too, because I think that makes it a lot worse. So where was I? Before I go on, I'd like to say that I was strictly told not to speak about this, but I'm speaking with you people who are not involved and who can't do anything bad except talk to journalists, which I hope you won't do. Actually, that's exactly what she's probably hoping they will do. I have to get this off my chest because it's pressing down on me, and it helps to know that someone besides me knows something, and I'm not the one who knows the most out of everyone. At the house, they asked me very personal questions about Meredith's life and also about personalities of our neighbors. How well did I know them? Pretty well. We were friends. Was Meredith sexually active? Yeah, she borrowed a few of my condoms. Does she like anal? WTF? I don't know. Does she use Vaseline for her lips? What kind of person is Stefano? Nice guy. He has a really pretty girlfriend. Very interesting. Weird. Like to know how you something and tell us if this is out of the normal. We would like to show you something and tell us if this is out of the normal. Thanks for letting me know about the buffering, and feel free to let me know if it buffers more. Okay. Where was that? Out of the normal. They took me to the neighbor's house. They had broken the door open to get in, but they told me to ignore that. The rooms were all open. Giacomo and Marco N's room was spotless, which made sense because the guys had thoroughly cleaned the whole house before they left on vacation. Stefano's room, however, well, his bed was stripped of linens, which was odd, and the comforter he used was shoved up at the top of his bed with red stuff on it. Oh, I did not know this part. Even though I read this, I didn't catch it. I obviously told them that the red stuff was definitely out of the normal, and also that he usually has his bed made. I'm so curious. They took note of it and ushered me out. When I left the house to go back to the police station, they told me to put my jacket over my head and duck down below the window so the neighbors wouldn't try to talk to me. At the station, I had to repeat the answers that I had given at the house so they could type them up. And after a good 5.5 hour day with the police again, Rafaela picked me up and took me out for some well-deserved pizza. I don't know if that's when she said that she was so hungry that she could red rum a pizza. She did say that, but I'm not sure if it was on that day or a different day. I was starving. I then bought some underwear because, as it turns out, I won't be able to leave Italy for a while as well as enter my house. I only had the clothes I was wearing the day it began, so I bought some underwear and borrowed a pair of pants from Raphael. Spoke with my remaining roommates that night. Like, why is she telling them that she bought panties? You know, she's trying to cover for the fact that she was seen in the lingerie shop during Meredith's memorial service and probably buying the panties with the money that she stole from Meredith, allegedly. Meredith definitely had money stolen. That was the only thing that was missing out of the entire apartment. And it was 250 euros. And when Amanda was arrested, she had slightly over 200 euros on her person. So let's see. Spoke with my remaining roommates last night. Oh, the ones that she hadn't unalived. Sorry. Sorry, not sorry. That's just my opinion, mind you. Innocent until proven guilty. Wait, she was proven guilty twice. She's giving a lot of info there. LOL. Yeah. and that she was told not to talk about. Exactly. But again, the narcissists always want to get their story out ahead of other people's because they're trying to lay the foundation to control the narrative, and it's pretty effective. Like the first story that people hear usually sticks with them even when it's a crock. It's kind of like the foundation then for the rest of the information as it comes in. So spoke with my remaining alive roommates last night, and it was a hurricane of emotions and stress, but we needed it anyway. What we have been discussing is basically what to do next. We are trying to keep our heads on straight. First things first, though, my roommates both work for lawyers, and they are going to try to send a request through on Monday to retrieve important documents of ours that are still in the house. Secondly, we're going to talk to the agency that we used to find our house and obviously request to move out. It kind of sucks that we have to pay the next month's rent, but the owner has protection within the contract. So the rent money, that was the $250 in Meredith's room that was stolen. She had it in cash. She had talked with the roommates that were out of town about it, told them that she could pay them cash. They said, we'll just hold on to it till we get back from the weekend. And so that was an open conversation that Amanda knew about. So she knew that the cash was in there. Anyway, so weird that she's talking about the freaking rent money when she's just emailing her main contact professor from the University of Washington for her study abroad, right? On and on and on. I guess I'll go back to class on Monday, although I'm not sure what I'm going to do about people asking me questions because I really don't want to talk again about what happened. I've been talking an awful lot lately, and I'm pretty tired of it. So yeah, she just wanted to go on with her life and not talk about it. Yeah, like that's not normal. If you were innocent, you would be so shaken up. You would not be thinking that you're just going to continue on and not talk about it. I mean, really. I've been talking an awful lot lately and I'm pretty tired of it. After that, it's like I'm trying to remember what I was doing before all this happened. I still need to figure out who I need to talk to and what I need to do to continue studying in Perugia because it's what I want to do. Anyway, that's the update. Feeling okay. Hope you're all well, Amanda. Anyway, that's the update. Feeling okay. Hope you're all well, Amanda. Whoa. Crazy. After she says she's got to get it off her chest. WTF. Yeah. So the professor writes her back, and I'll read some of it. Dear Amanda, it's very professional. It's very appropriate. And, the whole thing is so shocking. They might not have suspected her. They might have thought, man, she's just a nut job because she's been through this process. And so she made this crazy 4-page single-spaced email. Like she wrote a book, basically. And she's been memorizing that book and doing speaking engagements on that book, basically, since she was released. And it's just crazy how fuzzy it all is and how it's evolved and how it's changed. And what's crazy is how guilty she looks and that she's gotten away with Red Rum and that she's touring with the Innocence Project, wrongfully convicted, and telling her story, headlining, because she's infamous, which she confuses with famous, and it's all about her. And she's going to just trash that whole program, I'm afraid. Her and people like her. Scott Peterson. I'm sure OJ would have been part of that. He probably tried. Dear Amanda, I was saddened and shocked by the news about your roommate, and I am so terribly sorry about everything you have to deal with emotionally and all. The questions by police following this tragic event. I understand you are under a tremendous amount of stress right now, and you are probably exhausted in all ways. However, I do hope that you have friends in Perugia, who can give you the necessary comfort right now and offer you a place to stay where you feel safe and may be able to discuss what you have experienced and how you feel you should have the need to do so. I tried to call you this afternoon in vain, but your mother told me that you were still in the police station. I will call you Saturday again just to touch base. Oh, weird. Hold on. This email from this person, I won't say her name, although it'll be in the material that I share with you guys. But I just want to keep her on the down low. This email was sent on the 3rd. So the one that I just read you was sent on the 4th. So this email is prior to the one that I just read you, because you know how it goes backwards when you're looking at the history. And I was in their email history that's in that court document thing that I'm going to have the link to in my description. So, wow, I hadn't caught that before. So, let me see. So, Amanda's was on Sunday, and this professor is referring to Saturday. So, this must have been sent like so late on Friday that it seemed like Saturday. Again, it's all a blur, which is going to be that way in a traumatic situation like this, but absolutely stunning. Um, I will call you Saturday again just to touch base and hear how you're doing. So, Amanda's email that I just read you was a response to this email. The people who called you are relatives of a very nice woman, and I'm not going to read her name, I know here in Seattle, who is a member of the Seattle Perugia Sister City Association. The names are blank and blank. Her cell is blank. Um, this one person is the local police, and the other person is an English teacher at a local high school. I know a woman in Perugia from both her visits to Seattle and a visit I made to Perugia a couple of years ago. And again, I'm sorry if I'm saying the name of the town incorrectly. From both her visits, okay, when we started our cooperation with the University for Foreigners, she is working for the city of Perugia and is dealing with sister city associations, and she speaks English. I will send her an email and copy you for your information. She may be a good person for you to get in touch with. I will also send a note to the school to ask them to give you support if you need it. You'll most likely be the center of attention by students, faculty, administrators, to mention some. And she goes on to basically say, I hope you don't talk to journalists, and warns her basically that that's a bad idea, which of course, I think any kind of institution like the University of Washington is wise to try to keep things on the down low from uh, reporters and media. But I don't think that that was for the best interest of Amanda, more probably in the best interest of the University of Washington. They don't want to make their university look bad. They don't want to make their students look bad. They don't want to make their country look bad. And Amanda was making everybody look bad, especially her. But first, I think some people were tricked into thinking that she was a victim. Although I don't think that the people there, like the roommates and the friends, I don't think they were tricked at all. I think that they already didn't like her. They thought she was acting crazy. She was doing the splits and stretches and such, which is why I used that goofy little thumbnail. Um, and, she had that big scrape on her neck, like 1 inch, about a quarter inch wide. And they were all wondering what that was from. And they figured that the police were going to find out what it was from. They didn't like the way she was making out with her boyfriend. They didn't like the way she was acting. Um, they were all suspicious of her right away. And it's interesting that the two other roommates both worked for attorneys' offices. Remember, yesterday I was saying how Amanda had an internship earlier that summer with her uncle attorney's firm in Germany, but she didn't do the internship. She went to Germany and she just hung out and did her Amanda thing. And then Rafaela's uncle is also an attorney and his father's a doctor. So it's just unbelievable to me that she has been living as a free uh, person in this country for, I don't know, roughly how many years? Close to 10, maybe? Because this all happened in '07. I think she served 4 years hard time. And then, so maybe slightly over 10 years, somewhere around there. Um, anyway, we're just at 46 minutes. And I'm thinking that maybe I should wrap this one up unless you guys are here and wanting to discuss things. Um, to reiterate, there's a lot of good reason to discuss the case. And my primary motivation is that Miss Amanda Knox reminds me quite a bit of Miss Scammy Smith in our Kiely Rodni case. So I am curious if you guys think the same thing. And um, CB, I'm curious that you said that you know nothing about the case because it happened in '07. It was like major headlines, not just in our country, but internationally. And it's just one of the most salacious cases of all time. I mean, it's absolutely nuts. And the charges against Knox were that she was the ringleader and that she was the one who made the fatality happen with her own hands, and that she was the one who violated the victim in the most personal and disgusting way. And it seems to me that that's all true. So I think that pretty girls get away with a lot of things because they bat their eyelashes, and people have trouble believing that a pretty girl could do such a thing. So, and Amanda is a very attractive and photogenic young woman, and she's used that to her advantage. And Meredith was an extremely attractive, probably photogenic also, but we don't have good pictures of her. There's only a couple of pictures where you can really see how absolutely adorable she is. And a lot of the pictures, it's just like a weird moment, how we all have photographs of ourselves like that, where it's like, that doesn't even look like you, or, you just have a strange expression. Um, so I want to thank you guys for being here, and I'm going to go ahead and wrap this one up. I wanted to give a hot tip because you know how I always like to do that if I can. Remember, I was talking about Marie Kondo recently, the one who wrote that book, The Life-Changing Magic of Tidying Up. I wanted to share with you guys one of the best hot tips from that book that I use, and I recommend for anybody who hasn't tried it and uh, thinks that it might be interesting. When I first read it, I thought it was like the weirdest idea in the world. The idea is to dump the contents of your purse into a basket and then leave that basket by the front door And then every time you come home, dump it again. And when, as you're leaving, just take the things that you need. So does that make sense? So dump your purse into a basket, all the contents of your purse, and then just put back in the things that you know you're going to need, like your wallet, your chapstick, um, your cell phone. And then as you're leaving the house, grab whatever in the basket you need for that one trip. Then when you get home, dump it all in there again. And that way you don't have all the crap that builds up in our purses, like half eaten sandwiches and rocks and turtle shells, all the things you might find in little kids' pockets, basically. Lots of receipts in mine. And I always have like a ton of like hair clips and hairbrushes and such. But my mini tape measure, never know when I need it exactly. But sometimes I'll have more than one mini tape measure in my purse. Or I can't find my brush because it's all the way at the bottom and there's so much junk on top of it, right? And sometimes I'll lose my cell phone in my purse and I'm convinced that it's not in there because I've looked 3 or 4 times, but then there it is underneath everything. So it's just an idea. It has helped me a lot and I had forgotten about it and I've been doing it again recently. And I thought I'd share it with you guys because she's a smart woman. She has a great head on her shoulders and she's run a good business and she's help disseminate that information. So I'm going to do the same. And, just the things that my takeaways, my big takeaway was the thing with the purse. The other takeaway was to go through all your clothes, which I've also been diligently doing. I think I shared that with you guys. To go through your entire wardrobe and make sure that everything that you're keeping fits you and you love it. And her whole routine is something that people love to talk about and laugh at. She says that whatever the item is, like here, let's take the adorable little bunny rabbit thing. Okay. You hold the item in your hand and you say, does it spark joy? And in this case, this absolutely sparks joy for me and probably for you guys too. There, I'm trying to get it in the front center. Um, is that so effing cute? And this is like a little door that actually works. So goofy. I know I'm a goofball, but I saw that in the store and I had to buy it. So it's out of the screen. Anyway, so each little thing, like I could do that with my wishing well. Does my tiny wishing well spark joy? You bet it does. I'm keeping it. But something that doesn't spark joy, like I don't know, how about this? Does this pencil spark joy? Not really, but it's useful. I use it every day, so I'm keeping it. So this is how you go through your possessions and pitch what doesn't spark joy. And it is really cool. It's really cool. Clean closet now. I did that a few weeks ago while listening to you, and it was refreshing. It's a constant in my life because I have 4 children and, luckily they're not growing so rapidly anymore because I used to have to do that just to keep up with what they were outgrowing. But I got very backed up in my own wardrobe as I was keeping my children well clothed, making sure that things fit them and that we were, purging and giving away hand-me-downs to our friends of the things that they didn't need anymore. But in doing that with my own stuff, it's very cool because I can find my favorite articles of clothing, which, honestly, I wouldn't be able to find them if they're like shoved into a corner and folded up and under things. And, my closet just gets too full and isn't that the worst when you can't take something out or you can't put something in? And anyway, my point is that it's really nice to purge and it's just a constant process and it's easy to blow it off and not do it. But then you end up only wearing a few of the things that you own, the things that you can find and the things that are clean, right? I mean, I think that that's probably the same for most of us. So Marie Kondo's system is fantastic and her instructions are not to do too much of it at once, to plan on taking about 6 months if you're going to do this with your entire home. more or less. I mean, it would take me probably a year to do it with my entire home. But in doing so, you just go through, like when I do my clothes, I'll just do all my t-shirts one day and I'll do all of my tank tops the next day. Cause yeah, I do have a million of each, but that's what I'm trying to downsize. And so I'll try to get rid of half and then I only have half a million. So it's very beneficial. And then if I realize that I have like 10 black tank tops, even if I love them all, I'm like, you know what? I don't think I need 10. I can get rid of 5. I basically will try to cut everything in half. And it's fun. I mean, I love giving stuff away, and I have people that I give my cast offs to that get so excited. They say it's like Christmas. So it's nice to feel organized and not cluttered. Or you can't find your favorite shirt. Exactly what I'm talking about. Yeah, it's easy to feel overwhelmed and cluttered, and it is really nice to be able to find your favorite stuff, and it really sparks joy. It helps everything in your life to have a little less clutter, even if it's just like one tiny corner, like literally like 1 square inch of your house. That's what you start with, and then it spreads from there. So I'm a full believer in that process, and like I said, it's a constant work in progress. Like everything is a constant work in progress. And my channel here is one of those constant works in progress. And I'm going to wrap up this video and sign off and wish you guys a great day. I hope that you can feel productive and feel relaxed, feel supported and nourished. Maybe I'll show you one more thing. You know how I like to get really personal with you guys. And I don't know how well this will show up, if it will be like kind of, the light sometimes can just like be blinding, so you can't really see anything, but you get the gist of it. I mean, you can't see the things that I wrote. This was the exercise that I was talking about from one of the classes that I was in, and writing all the heartbreaks of your entire life on one side, and then writing down the gifts that you've received over time in processing those heartbreaks, and drawing the heart. The one thing I don't think I explained to you guys, if you were interested in doing an exercise like this, and I do highly recommend it, is first drawing the heart and then drawing the heart being broken. And it was interesting. I think I was the only one with a super sharp arrow cutting through and piercing, and got little droplets here. But with the broken heart, many people had the heart breaking. But for me, this was absolutely the way to do it. And the strength of the piercing weapon and the strength of the healed wounds are really what stand out to me the most. And I was sharing with you guys yesterday the gift that came from this exercise, which it wasn't that painful to do it for me, but it was extremely enlightening. I think for other people, I don't know. I can only speak for myself. But I could see it being very difficult if you're already in a place of heartbreak, that I would maybe warn against it until you're in a place of feeling really secure. It really helped me see things clearly. So it increased and deepened my awareness and understanding about the heartbreak over here, that when my narcissistic father told me that my mother did not want me, which was not true. And then a few months later, when he tried to take my and my sister's life, and that was not so much of a heartbreak at the time, because I didn't know that it was intentional. But as it became obvious that it was intentional, which honestly wasn't for about 10 years, that was like the biggest heartbreak of all time. And it was very hard to reconcile, especially because he had been such a warm, nurturing father for most of the time that he raised us. until that day when he lied to me and said that she didn't want me. The truth was that he threatened her that if she ever tried to get custody, that he would extinguish her. Right? Isn't that how they do that? I mean, that's how narcissists manipulate their victims. So, yeah. Anyway, I like to share stuff with you guys. It's good for me, and I hope that it's good for you to understand where I'm coming from and what motivates me to do this work that I do, because it's not just for shits and giggles. It's extremely meaningful for my entire existence, and that's why I do what I do. So thanks for watching, and have a great day. Sending you light and love. Make sure you're well nourished, well hydrated, get some exercise. Thanks. Have a great day. Thanks, CB. It might just be me and you. Oh, and you know what? I have a prize. What was it, the prize that I was going to give away today? Let me see if I can find it. Because I would like to give it to the first person who comments when I turn off the video, which will be in just a minute. Bex is here too. Yes. So this little heart pen, oh, it's perfect. It ties right in with the art therapy directive and everything. That wasn't even really planned. So this adorable little heart pen is silver. It's not sterling silver, but it is a high quality metal. And it's got this adorable little black heart right there. And I want to give this to the first person who comments, and I'm going to shut down the live, and then the first one to comment, and just put a heart in there or say hi, and then email me your address to send it to. And whoever wins it will get the silver and black heart. Can you get a good look at it? There. On the black, you'll get a better image of it. So, all right, you guys, thanks again. Have a lovely day, and I'll look forward to seeing you tomorrow. Peace out. Take care.